Hello, Jimjamatic here. Welcome to a brand new episode of Robot Wars episode reviews. We're out of the heats of Series 2, and we're now into the semi-finals, the first semi-final, one of two. I'm bumping the grand final into semi-final 2 because there's only 3 fights to talk about, and all those extra things like awards, there's not too much to make
Four,
for.
actually.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, 4, yeah, but the one didn't
You're
really.
professional, yeah.
Well,
this just shows like 65 to 100 subscribers, yeah, and
I'm
he's
so-
still making amateur mistakes like this.
I was thinking of Series 3 where the robot was so battered they didn't do or like in Series 5 they only had 3 because Series 3 to 5 they only had 3 fights because the third way players place off didn't happen.
Series 5, the first, third, and fourth buttons happened.
It didn't because they hit. Oh yeah, but in Series 3 and 4 it didn't. I always think of those heats for Series for some reason because they didn't happen. But anyway, yeah, so those 4 battles, but it's not enough to make a whole episode, so we'll just have them at the end. So this is the first semi-final, as I said, and as you heard interrupting me, that was Mr. Anderson 9132. Want to say hi to him?
Yes, well, can I just say so much about Mr. Psycho shout out, eh?
Shut up, you. Yeah.
I am a bastard. I apologise.
Hey, I'm friends with Simon Harrison.
Oh, well, so am I on Facebook.
Yeah, no, but still cool.
Yeah. Good. Shout out to Simon. Hashtag Simon for president.
We're not shouting at Simon yet. We'll give him a shout out in the next heat. He's not in this heat.
All right.
It's just that.
Sorry. Semi-final. Get it right. Bloody hell.
I mean, if we're giving shout outs to him now, it just feels like we're trying too hard. It's more relevant if he's in the heat. But yeah.
Trying too hard. It's like spending 25 grand on the robot. Anyway,
that was a rapid response. Anyway, well, this is so you can tell we've just watched the episode recently, the first episode of the 2017 series / Series 9 / Series 2, what you call it, but it's officially Series 9 now. And yes, so enough rambling. We'll get to the robots, and since we've already talked about the robots to quite a lot of length in 6 episodes, they're doing that thing where they had the first half and the second half in semi-finals. So yeah, we'll briefly go over them again. We have Napalm. Their journey to the semi-finals was very, very controversial because they somehow beat Demolition Demon. Don't ask me why. And Pandemonium somehow. Again, they just did nothing.
Well, Pandemonium, at least they did something. They pushed them. I mean, okay, I know it was the House Robot BS crap again, but at least they pushed them in there. Instead of Pandemonium just twaddling along and getting its spike in there, they actually got shunted in there. So fair play to them for that one.
Demolition Demon, though?
Yeah. I mean, my best excuse for that one is there might have been something we missed, because obviously...
It happens quite a lot, especially in some battles, and it kind of explains some things, like you don't see Demolisher get flipped over in the Gauntlet. That affected its time, which is why it was like 3rd, even though it should be 1st, by the editing standards. But, Napalm, again, is a thing. And if you like Napalm this series, you'll love it next series because it doesn't change. They even keep all the battle scars from next series. I'm sorry, I mean, I rag on Napalm, but my god, that is lazy. That is really lazy.
They should have left it and poured it back the next year.
They should have. If only they had the system back they have in the new series where if you don't change your robot that much, they don't let you in. Like Gabriel. I'm not saying I wanted to see Gabriel again, but I can understand why they did that. But they should have done that in Series 2, 3 as well. You know, if you haven't changed your robot, what's the point of you being fighting? I mean, at least Gabriel's really well engineered. Napalm is Napalm. I mean, at least we got to see it get destroyed by a Rambot of all robots. But yeah, that was impressive enough as it is. But yeah, Napalm somehow makes it through. Mace is going to make a massive mistake later, but for now, Mace, again, I'll reiterate, Mace, that doesn't have a mace. I don't know why it's called Mace. I still don't understand that. I mean, it's like, the more I think about it, the less
it hits hard like a mace. That's why, because it hits you hard like a mace.
That's stretching it. That is really stretching it. But yeah, Mace is probably it's a solid robot, granted. I mean, it got a little bit of bullshit by just ramming chaos into the DPZ and just getting flipped over. Although I don't consider it as bullshit, because then again, George Francis forgot to put the piece on that helps itself right, which was his error. I mean, granted, again, it was a bit of bullshit with the House Robots, but at the same time, he could have prevented it.
I think that Mace would have won that anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, Chaos had a much higher ground clearance, and Mace had a much more controllable lift. I mean, George Francis himself in the Ultimate Warriors DVD for Chaos 2 stated that he admitted Chaos 1 was a massive mistake, and one of the reasons was because it was uncontrollable.
true.
And 2 was because its flipper was far too narrow, far too steep, and far too uncontrollable to be effective.
It's true, it really was. It's just very unreliable with its control, and it was looking against Wheelosaurus, really, but... yeah, again, against more sturdy robot like Mace, they had no chance.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Mace, I said, Mace will make a mistake, we'll get to that in a second. Mortis, the devils of Robot Wars, apparently, according to the producers. We'll get to that one, but... yeah, so,
Richard Nixon
the one thing...
Wars,
the one thing because of this series, they're seen as like these snobbish, up their arse idiots for the rest of the series, and it's so uncalled for.
They're heroes.
I know, it's so uncalled for. I mean, I love them. I mean, the only thing I'll legitimately say, even past all the producer bullshit that was a bit pretentious, was that Rob Knight controller. I'm sorry, you look an arse with that. Like if you don't,
if you watch it, Rob.
No, I love your team, but if you didn't want to come off as an arsehole from the last series, perceptively seen, don't bring that with you, because you're not helping your cause. You know what I mean? It's one of the things like if you want to get away from being seen as that big big expensive Cambridge boys, don't come with this really over the top pointless crap. But it's just a controller. You don't see Carbide doing that. You don't see Apollo using those things. You don't see Terahertz or Hypnodisc or Chaos 2 bring up some pointless controller.
Though, right? Mortis represents over the top unimportant crap. Because I mean, I love Mortis. It's an interesting robot, unique design, had some good weaponry. Very unlucky throughout, but it was basically proof that 40 grand could quite happily go to waste.
It's true.
That's just me saying that, because it never won. It never won, and it just proves that high tech and lots of money will not get you anywhere.
I mean, this is the only
driving a good weaponry will. It's been proven.
This is the only time they make a semi-final, which is a shame, really. Yeah, in 4 attempts. In fairness, they should have got it the first time, but again, that was bad. We talked about that one, but yeah, Recyclops, you got lucky. You got lucky, Rex. Sorry, I'm thinking of George Francis. Rex, you got lucky. Rex. Sorry, I was thinking of the flipper box. I was like, Rex, you got lucky, but
bloody hell.
Shut up, it's late. I'm normally in bed by 10:30. But yeah, so that was Mortis. Behemoth, another robot, not to make another semi-final past this. Very unfortunate because I think Behemoth's just got better and better over the years. Like, from Series 3 onwards. Structurally, it hasn't changed too much, but a lot of the internals, it's got faster, it's more reliable, the flipper's better. It was slow in Series 4 to 5. Series 3 to 5. My God, it was slow in this series as well. But Series 6, they got the speed going, and that's why it got that ultimate, live circuit type robot, and it's just really great. And yeah, somehow this is the version of Behemoth that makes it to the semi-finals.
Yes. Not the 20. Say that. It's just a shame that the worst version made it the furthest.
Not the Series 3 version, not the Series 4 version, not even the 2016 version. This one makes it.
Hey, but we're only one heat into Series 9, so who knows?
That's true. I know.
It might,
I saw him fight.
Behemoth for champion.
I saw Behemoth. I did see Behemoth fight when I was there live, and it was awesome to see. It was great to see it there, and also Dara. Was it Dara Bain controlling it in the Celebrity one?
Yes.
Was.
Angela.
Angela. That was it. Yeah. Angela, that was funny. That was funny. But yeah, so the small, tiny little Behemoth somehow managed to make it to semi-finals, and it's a climate.
Behemoth, by the way, Behemoth is what is it? It's Latin for ox, isn't it, or something like that? And it means like something that's really big and powerful.
Yeah.
Behemoth was not big this series, was it?
It's a tiny little soda stream.
Was taller than it.
It doesn't even have a flipper. It's just a tiny little lifter that kind of lifts you up like 2 feet in the air and pushes you into the nearest house robot. That's all Behemoth was this series, really. I mean, honestly, if I'd just seen this series up until now, I would have gone, Behemoth's never going to return with a good robot. I'd be wrong if that was the case, because they got so unlucky in Series 3. Really, that's the worst one they lost in, besides getting stuck in forward drive. That was bad as well. Then we have Killertron, one of the oddest semi-finalists in the terms they don't come back in Series 3, but randomly come back in Series 4. They didn't even, it wasn't like they didn't get in, they just didn't return. I mean, they obviously spent that time improving their robot for Series 4, right?
Yeah.
Right? They didn't. I think was it the same in Series 4? I swear it was. Like Wheeliosaurus, that was exactly the same series. All they did was put a little spinner on the front of it that did nothing. But like Overdose's little blade.
Stuff spinlets on the sides, mate. That's
Oh yeah.
That's an important.
Vital. It stopped it from getting flipped. Supposedly. Then Willy McCheese came along and went, nope, you're going in the air.
Didn't even touch it though.
I know, it just kind of flying. I don't know how it even flipped it, but yeah, back to the series. Killertron is. Yeah. It was the one that was going to win the heat. I'll be honest with you. It got a very easy heat in fairness. In fairness, Killertron isn't a bad robot. It just doesn't know where the hell it's going with its wheels because only one wheel touches the ground, and it just kind of wobbles around. The pickaxe is awesome. The spikes in the front from Series 1 was the most vital thing they ever added onto it. It's actually a surprisingly good thwack bot as well. Like if it just spins around on the spot. But yeah, Killertron. It's orange. Maybe that'll help it. I don't know. And then finally we have Praise Be Panic Attack. It is. Well, I'm not going to act like they haven't won this series. There's no point because if you don't know Panic Attack, if you watched Robot Wars and didn't know this series was won by Panic Attack, you've clearly just watched this. You obviously like 3.
You don't know anything about Robot Wars. Yeah, it was literally mentioned every single time after you saw it. I don't even think Chaos 2 was praised as much as Panic Attack when it comes to being a former champion.
No, because I think the reason why is because it was probably the most surprising winner. If you really think about it, because like Series 1, you have Robot, this massive wedge, like no one's going to beat it.
Yeah.
Series 3 and 4.
Robot was around in a time where having a big bulking robot that moved slow was actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Obviously nowadays the norm is to have a more compact, more agile robot, but back then if you had a big, huge robot that could just get under and shove something around, you had no chance.
Yeah, that's true. And also
Series. Oh, sorry.
So Series 3 and 4, by the first battle, Chaos 2 cemented itself as a massive. A worthy grand finalist at least.
Easily,
and Series 5, Razor has been around for so long, it kind of makes sense that finally it would get somewhere. Tornadoes, same thing. And then and obviously Typhoon 2, aside the Storm 2 gate, it was still a very powerful spinner, so it had a good chance at least getting. It was also surprisingly stable for a spinner, and one of the only good body. Also, the only good full body spinner in the series because Warthog wasn't. Warhog, yeah.
Corkscrew had its moments, but
it was still a bit unstable.
I will admit, I wish Corkscrew did better. That's a little cheeky favourite of mine that I wish did better than it did.
I've got it's a guilty pleasure. Corkscrew, it really is. Yeah. But Panic Attack in its context of Series 2, you had Cassius, Roadblock, hell, even Killertron was a veteran. You've also got things like King Buxton.
Razor was in there, which was considered a favourite, even though it was a newcomer.
Yeah, you have King Buxton. You have that's it, really. But
Chaos, I guess you could say would be a kind of a favourite.
Not against Panic Attack. Not against Panic Attack.
Oh no, Mortis.
Mortis as well. Yeah, and also hell, yeah. But you got a lot of decent robots that you might have to come across at some point, and it just did well against all of them, and it just came out of nowhere. This little charity robot from Wales, a little box with a wedge.
This little yellow block of cheese with a spider on it.
Yeah, with wedges that for some reason were always pointed upwards.
Yes.
Which I always found really odd. They kept doing well and just really consistent. And dare I say, got a bit lucky in the race off. But that aside, they still surprised a lot of people in a lot of ways. It's probably maybe them and Apollo perhaps, because Apollo, while it was a good flipper, Carbide was always seen as always at the forefront. And obviously TR2 had been unmatched, so it was like, TR2 might win as well. And then Apollo came out of nowhere, so they worked every battle, apart from the first Carbide battle, and then just came out. And just, were somehow managed to beat down Carbide in the grand final. And this is the same thing. It's not as surprising, but I saw it's one of those things, and Panic Attack just embodies that really nothing is predictable in Robot Wars. You got, and it's just great.
That's the whole point. That's what I love about Robot Wars, is that anything can happen.
It was the only unknown robot in the grand final. So,
yes,
which is really nice to see, and it's just that's why I like Panic. I think that's why it gets a lot of praise for Attack, even though it's not the best robot. It's still a good robot. It's not the best of the best, because something like Chaos 2 probably is arguably more like that. It just has that sentimental value because it's been around for so long and it's so surprising. When it first came out, that people went, this is a robot to watch. Forget Series 3 version. Well, forget the series.
Yeah.
As much as
I believe that Panic Attack is the epitome of robot that's really good because of its driving.
I mean, Series...
Even an outdated design like that was still winning lots of fights by Series 5, just simply because Kim was an amazing driver.
Yeah, I mean, excluding Series 3, because while it wasn't terrible, it didn't have the gyro stabilizer. It drove terribly. It just clattered into half the it bounced into walls everywhere. It drove in the pit against 101 somehow.
Also very lucky, wasn't it, in quite a lot of his battles?
It did. I mean, it beat let's say the Thing 2 battle was absolutely lucky. Thing 2 was dominating them.
I'd also hazard to say it was lucky against Exterminator, to be honest.
Oh, if it hadn't been the gas canister breaking, they would have lost that.
Yeah.
But the one lucky hit got them in the end, and that is these are our semi-finalists. You know, these 6 that have won mainly didn't deserve it, but all the others at least earned it.
Napalm story. So,
yeah. So there's not much to say. I mean, really, all there is the slight change to the Gauntlet. The slight change to the Gauntlet being that the Sentinel is now a 360-degree turret. It's no longer just in one lane. It has 2 ramps. One ramp is guarded by it, and it'll just basically you can't win it against it. I swear there's no way to win against the Sentinel. He just plonks the thing down, and you just can't get past the ramp and fall in the pit.
Yes.
And the other ramp...
that was a big, massive middle finger to anyone who was going to try and do that ramp.
And the seesaw ramp, for some reason, they saw Panic Attack and went, well, we'll do it again. Plonk it downwards. Just don't let him go in. And they seem to hate the semi-finalists this one because I mean not as much. I think it was worse than semi-final 2, but in this one they did give some robots a hard time. Naturally, because it is the semi-finals, of course. Surprisingly, and I hate to say this, Napalm got to the end. Granted, they got flipped over at the end, but they got to the end, which is
fair play to them.
I'll give them that. They actually earned their second round place. Mortis had a very weird Evel Knievel type moment, like Panic Attack did. They just flopped over the ramp onto the rail, drove on the rail, and then just fell over. And they self-righted, and it showed that the Rax was powerful enough to self-right. Unlike in other series, it just doesn't work. And they got to the end zone. And once again, Mortis was one of the few robots that actually managed to make the end zone 2 times in a row in both series. Actually, they didn't in Series 1, but in Series 2, they got the semi-finals and their heat. Which is impressive. Very few robots in this series actually did that. Who else? Panic Attack. Why did Panic Attack choose the ram rig? I generally don't understand what was the point. It's a really thin robot that can get trapped. It got trapped between the ram rig. It was so long.
To be honest, anybody who chooses the ram rig, in my opinion, was a muppet, because, I mean, that is easily, quite simply, I still spoke about the Sentinel being a big middle finger, but literally, right, the ram rig was the big middle finger of this series, okay? There was no... did anybody get past it?
Well, loads, like Razor, Corporal Punishment, Megahertz, Billy Anbog got past it.
But it was still a tough thing to get past, I mean, in all fairness, because especially
Inquisitor, Pandemonium... Sorry, I'm just going back, loads of people that got past the ram rig, I'm sorry.
Shut up. But in all fairness, it was a
it's hard.
Series 2's forgettable. There you go. But just saying.
Yeah, it is
more forgettable than Series 5. Anyway, just because basically, if you had a low ground clearance, Ram Rig really loved to screw you around. I mean, like Body Hammer, that was proved. Angel of Death. There were a couple of others. And Panic Attack, for example.
Tender Caress. Just fucked up everything, in fairness, but...
Death Trap drove backwards.
No, that was their fault. That was the Ram Rig's fault. They actually got through the Ram Rig reasonably well until that point. But yeah, Panic Attack just wedged them.
The reason why they went back was just because they got a better charge in it, but they should have just stayed where they were.
Yeah, they would have gone through. But Panic Attack really chose the wrong route, and Kim Davis just somehow wedged his entire robot, like, horizontally in the gap. And then the sphere blocked them, which was kind of adding insult to injury. The sphere wasn't even needed. But it was there. And yeah, they're the only robot in the semi-finals to choose the ram rig, and there's the reason why nobody else did it. Quite clearly.
How is the sphere even a decent, obstacle? I mean, it's a big round thing. It's easy to move out the way. You just nudge it, and it will roll the opposite way. So what's the point?
I don't know.
Such a stupid thing to have.
No, the worst arena obstacle by far was in Series 4. They had a little tiny rubber spike that pointed out of the wall.
Oh, what, those yellow thing? Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a red or yellow spike. Yeah, that was the most useless. Or the spinning disc on the floor.
The Disc of Doom.
Yeah, the Disc of Doom.
Johnson points as well, because it just didn't do anything. It never did any damage. Oh, no, I stand corrected. It did do damage to Tomahawk.
It did. Yeah, my Atomic wasn't that great in that series anyway. But And then, alright, who was next? Behemoth decided to do a little thing where it decided to take it decided to take the ramp and then just got pushed back really far. He just didn't have a chance. It was like Penetrator. It got over the ramp or something, and thereabouts, and then the other house owners went, you know what, you're going backwards. Screw you.
Oh, no.
At least he didn't go far enough to go, into the pit. But at the same time, though, it's quite funny how far they went back. They got like 7 meters, something like that. From like the initial 10 they probably got otherwise. But they still, in this particular round, they still managed to get through. Killertron actually had a decent run, surprisingly, because they didn't have a good run actually, they got so close in their heat by just getting trapped by 2 house robots and able to have a little axe fight. Here they actually, they did something, which is nice to see. Didn't take much in a Gauntlet, but Killertron at least did a decent run of it. Nobody went for the other Sentinel route, which I'm not surprised about after seeing what happened to Mace.
Yeah.
Mace really didn't know what they were doing. I mean, they actually got past the ramp the first time, and then, they chose the Sentinel first, but then decided to go, nope, go around the other way, and then Shunt went, you're in the pit. Thanks. What was the point of that pit? It's like, I don't understand, it's the Sentinel can push you in, but, it just meant House Robots could just push you backwards again.
Yeah.
It just felt a bit unfair.
It got in the way.
Yeah, it did get in the way. But, now
this incident led to
the race.
Wacky races. Oh, the race-off. Sorry.
The race-off. Sorry. Wacky races. Now this is the only time this has ever happened. Naturally. This is a race-off. Basically, what happened was Panic Attack and Mace ended up going 6.9 meters. Giggity. As a result, they had to. I knew I was have to wait for you to stop laughing for a sec. I even paused because I expected you to laugh. As a result, they had to rerun the Gauntlet at the same time, and they had to go for the middle route only and choose coin toss. Whoever won the coin toss, god damn it,
the
coin toss, yeah. Shut up! I can't. I'm not.
Any potential robot builders in the future, please name a robot called Toincos.
Please.
I will love you forever.
No, do not. No, I'm not remembered for this. After all these years, that's my legacy. Toincos. The coin toss. Whoever won that got to choose whether to go over the seesaw ramp or the fixed ramp where they go fuck yourself Sentinel in front of it. Now, do you know which one Mace won the coin toss?
Coin toss.
You do realize that I said that one on purpose, right? You do realise that. Toin toss. Yeah, I know reference the coin toss, and of course Mace chose the easy route, the Sentinel.
I don't know what they were thinking. Oh, the slow clap of death.
Oh, Mace. I mean, people argue about other things, but that wasn't the worst decisions you could have done. Worse than making
that was the worst decision
since Gemini. Since Gemini.
Ooh, harsh.
I know I like Gemini, but it just didn't work.
That was the worst. That was the worst decision since. That's the worst decision ever since Dark Destroyer versus T2.
Oh, don't get me started on. Don't get me fucking started on that decision. But yeah,
I agree with it.
Yeah, it's good. But what did they do, May? Seriously, you had the easy ramp. You actually got over the ramp the first time. You even chose that. Did you want a second round against it, rematch or something? And Panic Attack got the easy route, and guess what? Panic Attack won. Oh, who's surprised by that? They chose the easy route and won.
Well, it was a huge shock. Yes. I can't believe that the history of Robot Wars as we know it could have been changed simply by Mace having a slight bit of common sense.
Yes.
Right. If they had turned around and said we could go that way, Panic Attack would have lost. We would have had a different champion in Series 3, a different robot in, it's like a game of Jenga. You move one block out the way, that's it. The entire thing changes.
Yeah, and
if that particular, or like a house of cards. Sorry.
Yeah.
With one card, the whole changes.
Did the Mace team have something like a really important meeting to get to? And they said, well, we'll have to lose this round, unfortunately. Oh, just go in the Sentinel route. And they would have rushed for something. Like they'd go to a rock concert or something. Oh, they're playing in 5 minutes. Just get killed. Die. I mean, luckily it made a good improvement for Mace 2. While it looks very similar, the lift is better. But, yeah, they could have gone further with this. And they probably would have won, because they probably would have
I think they would have done alright in the pinball. They would have done alright in the pinball.
Just don't do what Napalm did, and you're fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the race off, the glorious race off, Mace lost. Unfortunate. Well, it's not unfortunate. You kind of had it coming, in fairness, by choosing that route. So I don't feel too sorry for Mace, because in the end they could have prevented it and didn't. So Mace lost. Panic Attack got through very, very luckily there from Mace's stupidity, and we get to the trials, which is the pinball. Was a side event. It was a side event in Series 3 and 4. It's basically the deciding factor of the semi-finals for some reason. And we'll get the obvious thing out of the way first. Mortisgate. This is that's what I'm calling it. Hands down, possibly one with along with maybe so. That's why it's Sean Connery.
That was
Sean Connery. I can't do Nixon.
What's that Agnew? What's that Agnew?
We're delaying inevitable. But right, you might remember Storm 2's utter crap handed to it by the producers. You know, that's bad. I think that's arguably worse because that happened it was almost like prolonged. Like every single round, they got constantly beaten up by the producer for some reason.
Yeah.
But here, this one decision affected like basically everyone's perception of Mortis for pretty much the next two series. Because now you might know Napalm failed at the pinball pretty badly. They drove off the ramp and only scored about 75 points. So yeah, they didn't do well on that. It's all about what happened to Mortis that happened. Mortis is obviously it's seeded second for the series. It's considered a massive considered basically the champion already without even doing anything. A bit like Razor was later Lords during Series 3. You know, people went, this is going to win no matter what, and it pinned itself to the ground. Mortis, because its tracks are so reliable in this series, it's like the worst series. Like, you know, Cassius had the chain, Mortis had the tracks, and the track fell off as soon as they started coming out towards the pinball, and just spun around in a circle. You know, they didn't do anything. Cease was called. The House Reps didn't attack them for some reason. Cease was called, and then the producer said, "Just give you another go. You know, try it again. Yeah, we'll give you like a get out of jail free card. Try it again." And they were like, "No, you know, we didn't." They said no. They said we don't want to do it again because Rob Knight specifically doesn't want to do it again because we didn't deserve it. We lost. We should go out. And they said no, forced them to have another go. And they got 105 points and came third. I think it was third. They got more than Behemoth, at least, I know that. But they didn't even try. They just attacked the ramp. They just drove around all over the place.
They gave it to Nutty refused to drive.
Yeah, they gave it to Ben. Yeah. Yeah, because obviously Arthur didn't want to drive it either, so just gave it to Ben, the third guy on the team.
Ben Impey had no clue what he was doing whatsoever.
No, it's clear.
Understandably, he'd never driven the machine, so therefore he didn't know what he was doing. And to be honest, I wouldn't surprise me if he wasn't bothering anyway.
No, I'm surprised they got as many points.
Another bit of information is there's also a belief, and I don't know whether this is true or not, but also there's a belief that Mortis only scored 30 points, and the producers upped the score, you know, because that's what they do, just to ensure Mortis got through, even though it only scored like 30 points. I don't know whether that's true or not, but apparently there's a belief that that's the case.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't, because in Series 7 they raised the pit for Storm 2. I'm not surprised this has happened the same way. And there's no way of saying it, but this is absolute bullshit. I mean, we talked about Series 2 bullshit, but this was just because of how the PPZ worked. This is another level. This is actually like the people who were creating the show have decided to say "fuck you" to Mortis.
And what's worse as well is that
they played it out like Mortis demanded it.
Yes.
In
the
grudge match special.
Grudge match special. Yeah, they played it out like Mortis demanded another go. When they didn't, they turned it down because they lost.
That's true.
So, of course, yeah. So and then of course because of that, every single fucking man, woman, child, their dog, their baby, their Auntie Mo, and the weird guy at the local pub decided that they absolutely hated them, and that they were the big baddies. They were the Craig Danby back then, even though once again
Craig Danby didn't deserve it either. He didn't deserve it either. He was playing up to the camera. He was enjoying it, and everyone said, oh, "What an arsehole! What an arrogant arsehole!"
But love you, Craig.
No, we love you, Craig. Evan has said that on Twitter or whatever. Fuck off. He's not. He's clearly not. He is not an arsehole. Clearly. I never had to shout that in my life, but he's not an arsehole. He's just playing up to the cameras good old Craig Danby himself with Foxic. And praise be Foxic. And I mean, is it really worth going over the pinball results? Because this just overshadows it. Like, everyone else's were just I mean, Behemoth got pitted, Panic Attack did really well, and Killertron did okay. Everyone else just... This is just... There's no point, because this is just the most annoying thing in the whole heat. And, again, we talk about bullshit. This is the most bullshit thing in Series 2. Hands down, apart from the PPZ plays second, and the Sentinel probably third place. Or Ramrig, by their tied. But,
Gauntlet, it was just full stop.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, no,
sorry, I really wasn't a fan of the Gauntlet.
No.
Like I've said it before.
No.
You know, a lot of robots got further than others, but because they were in a different heat, still lost.
I think third place is probably the Sumo with Dead Metal. That was third place for me. But
what about the Gauntlet changing every week, so it wasn't fair?
Bullshit again. But yeah, we know this series is rubbish. But Mortis Gate is up there with the Storm 2 controversy, Stormgate. Stormgate. It is just shit. There's not much else to say. It is crap. And then, you know, they say, oh yes, Mortis demanded to have another go in the grudge match special, and then they're seen as the rich, uptight Cambridge arseholes for the rest of the series. And, you know, I'm so glad for their case we last saw them on a win. I'm so glad the War Independence was the last time we got to see them. I mean, they won, they beat Frenzy, and it was so good to see them. Like, you know, they bowed out in a nice way. But, I mean, I feel so sorry for Napalm. I mean, I ragged on Napalm again, but they didn't deserve it.
They got screwed out. They got screwed over.
They got screwed over. Just because they're seen as like the stupid Dart for Girls Grammar School guys who bring in this really rubbish robot, they're seen as like just expendable somehow.
Yeah.
And it's just so unfair. And yeah, I don't know. I would just.
It makes you ashamed to be a fan of a
honestly, if I was the Mortis team, I would have just like from the start, rather than even getting the robot to drive, I would have if I was Rob Knight, I would have still taken control of it, but then just drove into the pit.
Yeah.
Or something. Like, you know, because then they accidentally still scored some points. They went, oh, they've scored something, let's boost it up. You know, if they did that. So there's still the way they could have, the preachers still could have woven that to their advantage. While here, they could, if they just did that, maybe it'd come fair enough. But obviously they gave it to Ben Impey, didn't know how to drive it, and then he accidentally got some blocks, and you know, and then it happened. But
there you go. There you go. That's a real jerkish team, isn't it? A team that literally.
And the worst thing is that
you give up because they're so disgusted.
And the worst thing is, obviously Jonathan Pierce, when he's commentating on the grudge match, was saying it happened. As far as we know, we don't know. He might have just been told to say that. Like, you know, he was told, oh, Mortis said this, and because he just saw the clip. He's not George. I mean, no offense, but Jonathan Pierce is not the most insightful bloke. He's not the most observant bloke in the world. When he starts getting observant, I get suspicious. Like with Pussycat in the in their heat final. So is that a darker blade, Jonathan? You don't even notice if a robot's a drum or not. You can't even you did not notice that. You did not notice that blade. You've not been paying attention to the blade of Pussycat this entire time. So
what was really funny was you know, like, I mean, even now, I mean, I love JP. Don't get me wrong, he's got
I love him.
Robot Wars. But in this last heat, right, there was a moment where Terahertz versus an Aftershock.
Mm-hmm.
Terahertz's axe was immobile, and it just fell down because of gravity.
Yeah.
And he turned around and said that they were trying to attempt that. It's not working.
I mean, this is the guy who said good defense from Recyclops as it was stuck on top of Mortis. I mean, I love you, JP. You're great. You're enthusiastic, but you're too enthusiastic for your own good sometimes. In the best way possible to say it. You just don't notice the simplest things. But yeah, when you get too specific, that's when I get worried. I think you've been handed a note from the producer say this. Yeah. It's kind of obvious, and I don't know in this case. He probably just said, he was just told, the producer said, "Oh, Mortis said this," and he would commentate on it. You know, he might. I mean, he does his stuff, a lot of his stuff post, almost like the last moment, almost. Like the last things he does is get the commentary. They record everything first. So he's obviously just told, "Oh, the Mortis guy said this for the grudge special," and he just says it. So he doesn't know. But again, it's unfortunate. Just one of those things. Just again, we've talked so much about it, but it is bullshit, and it's just unfair. Again, I don't like Napalm, but I'd rather see them fighting Panic Attack, deserving it.
Because they want that, deserving.
And then Mortis giving Panic Attack a free win because they just didn't want to fight because they were forced to. And
that's a nice segue, I think. the battles. Actually.
Yes. Panic Attack against Mortis. Mortis just didn't try naturally. They just fired their axe, and then actually one thing that was a really funny bit in this fight though, Matilda and Panic Attack just double teamed it. It was like carried on a stretcher into the pit.
What I find great about that is again, like the producers tried so hard to get them through, and then just thought, well, they ain't trying. Let's not bother trying ourselves. Use Matilda to freaking end it.
That is brilliant.
Because, I mean, again, like surely you would have thought if the producers were that desperate to get them through, they wouldn't have had the house robots go attack it and go near, even if it went into the PPZ.
Yeah.
Panic Attack rightfully won this one.
Yeah,
and I don't blame the Mortis boys at all for throwing their hands in the air and saying we give up. At the end of the day, I would have done.
I think Panic Attack probably would have won anyway, because it would have gone underneath Mortis quite easily.
Yeah, I do believe Panic Attack would have had a chance, a strong chance of winning this one, but also at the same time, this was before it had that lifting, killing ability, and I think being a flat robot, Mortis's axe could have done some damage, but
it was more of a Rambot in the series.
Going 50-50 either way, really.
Panic Attack was more of a Rambot in the series, really, rather than a lifter. But
it was a good battle, in all honesty. It was one of my favourite battles of the series, actually, because it was short but sweet.
Sort of sweet. So the next one actually was a weird battle. Killertron against Behemoth. One thing, we got to see a tiny bit of destruction, shock and horror, in the series, with the little visor getting...
Yeah.
That was
this was
massive
destruction for Series 2, wasn't it? I mean...
Yeah. They even dented the robot.
Yeah. It was destruction damage.
Actually, one thing I liked...
I'm sorry.
One thing I find quite bizarre, though, is that you can tell obviously Behemoth was getting pulled over by Killertron. That was the whole tactic, to get him to lift him out and pull him over. They pulled him, they called cease, and then they put him back on their wheels.
Yeah.
They weren't out.
Yeah, no.
They weren't out, they haven't flipped him over yet.
This was back before the 30 seconds rule was a thing. It was more of a case of, if you're dead, that's it, you're done for, bye. And because they were pulled over... They would thought, well, that's that. They called cease, and then of course they provided them. It's like, oh, well,
yeah,
we can't turn around and let it continue now.
It was almost like I described that battle. It was sort of like when you're about to, like, say you're in a fight with someone, and then like your mum or a teacher sees you, and you kind of pull your fist back. It was like that, like, stop it. Oh, okay, never mind. Put it back. Just like dust them over. There you go. Didn't mean to. I wasn't going to hit you. But it was it's just that was a case of calling cease too early. But in fairness, I don't see what Behemoth could have done. The lifter was not going to flip over. They couldn't push Killertron that easily. It's a hard robot to push Killertron because of the way it's built. And that was their only tactic, Behemoth, was lift you up slightly and then push you. Killertron would have been so hard to do that one. So I think, in fairness, even if they'd lasted, the full round, I think they probably would have lost anyway. So it's one of the things where I think inevitably things would have gone the same way, but with small changes it would have been slightly different, and that's basically it. Like, again, Napalm would have lost against Panic Attack, and I think even if Killertron hadn't flipped Behemoth, it still would have ended the same way, I think, personally, unless something freak accident happened.
Yeah. I mean, I think Killertron,
it's a better robot.
Killertron's best showing.
It was a better it was the better robot out of the two anyway. I mean, I like Behemoth, but again, Series 3 from onwards is where I want to see Behemoth. I don't want to see it in this series because it's just not as good. It's just naturally inferior. It's like the first Stegosaurus. It's a good Rambot, but I like Steg 2 because it's just got more power.
I prefer Stegosaurus to Steg 2. I'm just going to say that now.
No, fair enough. No, in defense, they're both good machines, so it's not like, I mean, we can all agree that it's
with a spinning drum on the back of it.
That'd be quite cool. Or the front.
That would have been
that would have
been
like the first iteration of suicidal tendencies. That kind of look, maybe. Yeah. But we can all both agree that 3 Segs to Heaven was shite.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we can at least agree with that. That's good. But since there's no third battle, there's no heat final, so to speak. Obviously, the two robots go to the grand final. So we have Panic Attack and Killertron in the grand final. So both worthy winners.
I'm not in that one, am I? I'm not in the semi-final.
Unfortunately, that is Sam. You're coming back for the grudge match special. Yay.
I'm back for the grudge match special. Woo.
Yeah, no. I'll take 20 minutes.
Here's Sam.
I'll take 5 minutes of your time. But so Sam gets the grand final and semi-final too. So it feels weird just ending it now because I feel like there's one more battle there should be, but there isn't. We're only ready for the last battle. But I mean, most of it was focused on the Mortis Gate scandal, but it's true. It was just a terrible thing to happen. There we go. It's just one of those things. But yeah, so this was the semi-final one, and overall, what would you give it, rating wise?
Well, I like to look at it. I like to look at it as a fan.
Okay.
Rather than know it all.
Yeah.
And as a fan, I would never have known of the scandal.
I didn't know until a few years ago.
I hate the scandal. I think it's a disgrace. But at the same time, I don't want that to impede my thoughts on the actual performances and the actual battles and the actual overall enjoyment value of the episode. So I'm happy to give it a good 7 out of 10. I mean, it had some interesting Gauntlet runs. I mean, the race-off, while completely stupid, was interesting to watch and a bit of fun. The pinball pinball was actually my favourite trial ever. So of course, having the that introduced this series, it wasn't as good as it could be. It won't go on to be, sorry, but it was still pretty interesting to see. And the battles were all right, and we saw a good bit of damage. Well, I say bit in the strongest possible word, but damage.
Bit of plastic broke. Bit of plastic broke.
Yeah, bit of plastic getting knocked off. Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy to give it a 7 out of 10. Actually, to be honest, I think it's decent.
Glorious. And with that. That was semi-final 1. Next week we obviously have the 6 other semi-finalists.
Spam. I mean Sam. Sorry.
Yeah, Spam Elliot 64. We have obviously briefly we have Roadblock, the reigning champions. Got very lucky in their heat, but that's how it works. Cassius, just a very innovative robot in some ways, overrated in other ways. It depends how you look at it. King Buxton, all praise Simon Harrison. See, I can mention him when I'm talking about King Buxton, you see. You just look at you're trying too hard when you just mention him randomly. You
were the one who said you were friends with him. Sorry.
I know, I was just mentioning things that happened in the last month, because I've got a few correspondence and things, and I just thought that was my one that touched me the most. GBH, of course, the most average lifter of this series, but did well against the robots it fought, so that's
very effective. Yep.
I think a feather could beat Talos, so yeah, there's that. Plunderbird.
Actual feather or feather weight?
I don't know. You decide that. Plunderbird 2, silence.
Oh, that's the wrong series. Sorry.
That's the wrong series. Yeah, that's when the storm is coming. And from the last one we just reviewed, Hardvark, as I said. Good in its heat, terrible everywhere else, because it just faced better robots and just kept getting luckier and luckier every single round. My God, it tried though. They tried. They were 100% on it. I love the team again, but you could tell they were rushing constantly. But also, right, I'm gonna say, I know it's ages ago, but whoever the guy's boss is, who wouldn't let him come in. What the hell? It's Robot Wars.
Yeah.
Come on, you couldn't let him in for one. Jesus Christ, they're flapping their arms like, I don't know what we're doing. What is this electronics? Help. While his boss is like, you can't go. What? Fine. Imagine like if George Francis, if he had a boss, like imagine his boss said, no, you can't come in. I'm the reigning champion. No. I just imagine that the whole series, like it was just Ian and Richard Swan driving it. That would have been hilarious. That would have been hilarious, honestly, to be honest with you, but I wish that actually happened in a way. I mean, funny.
Yes.
But be like 3
I think they should have done that. I think that should have been like an obligatory rule that everybody changed drivers.
It was like 3.
There was something. I mean, Graham Bowden and they,
Alex Mordew.
Alex Mordew, that's the one.
Yeah.
They both changed their drivers every battle.
But the thing is, they were both good drivers. So Ian and Richard Swan, even though I like them, they weren't the drivers. They weren't the driving force of the robot. It was George Francis, really.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, whatever. And so yeah, that'll be next time. Obviously, semi-final 2 and grand final lumped together. That was Mortisgate and the race off. That was semi-final 1. So that was me. I'm Jimjamatic signing off.
I'm Anderson9132. I'll see you for the grudge matches, baby. Oh yeah.
Bye.